Hi, I'm Tyler, and I love worship music.
And I'm Kyle, and I hate it.
And these are Worship Music Reviews. For Worship Music Reviews, we listen to a popular worship song and give our perspectives from both an optimistic
and pessimistic
perspective.
The Berean test was created by Vince Wright to measure theological depth and clarity of worship songs. Songs are identified as milk or meat, simple or complex, and quality is listed on a scale of 1 to 10, as well as whether you should use it in a worship service or not. Today in Worship Music Reviews, we're listening to Radical Love by Victory Worship as we judge it on the categories of musicality, lyricality, and theologicality. Let's play the song.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie, the set design is pretty cool.
You think it's pretty cool?
Yeah, it's on fire.
There's a lot of synth in here. Is that even allowed in Christendom? Synth?
Mm-hmm. It's called syncretism when it's in Christianity.
It's synthetism? Synthetism? Like synchronism?
Syncretism.
Synthetism?
Minthetism.
Ooh, little piano up there.
A cherry red piano.
Yep.
I hear a lot of people, I see a lot of people singing on stage. I don't hear anyone else singing.
Except for Kathy Go.
Except for who what I would assume is
It's
Kathy
Go, yeah, assumedly. I feel like there are at least 3 or 4 more instruments than a regular American Christian worship band.
Mm-hmm, yep.
Because we have a synth, we have piano, we have drums, we have at least 2 guitars. Mm-hmm. Oh, there's a tambourine or something in there too.
Yep.
Okay, I think we're gonna be in this "Take My Life and It Is Yours" part for like. I feel like this is the chorus of Oceans, where it's like, how many times can we sing the chorus of Oceans? It's like there is no limit.
There are more choruses of oceans than there are oceans in the world.
There are more oceans in the world. Yeah, they're like Oceans 11, you know, Oceans 12, Oceans 13. They just kept making more. Like
they're gonna make another one.
I know. Oceans
they're rebooting
8.
it. No, 14.
Then Peter said to him, "Lord, how long must we sing the Oceans chorus? As many as 7 times?" Jesus replied, "I do not say to you 7 times, but 77 times." On hearing it, his disciples said, "This is a hard teaching. Who can accept it?" And then he walked away. Oh no! Now we're in
in only vocals.
Your favorite part, only vocals. Then we're gonna get some drums.
Yeah.
Or maybe she'll go really nice little soft lead out of just. For like a little while. Oh, even fancier. She dropped out and let the audience sing.
I actually do like that. No jokes aside.
It's a sweet
jokes
sound.
aside. I do like it.
It's a sweet sound in his ear, right? What a fragrance unto the Lord.
You're just ruining this. I'm having a moment here, and you're just taking away from it. Wow, that was very beautiful.
Okay, the only thing I do not like is when they do this, and then it's like 3, 2, 1. All right, like radical love. Like I gotta go all back in again. I hate when they do that. I'm not into that. Okay. Oh, it's Every Nation music. Okay, cool.
Oh, I know Every Nation.
Yeah, we know Every Nation. We like Every Nation. All right. So that was the song.
Let's not give endorsements, okay? That's not what this packet's about.
Oh yeah, true. This is for Indigitas. This is not for Every Nation. This is for us. Yeah. Okay. So let's go through our categories here. We're going to go right off the cuff of what our reactions are to the song, and then we're going to walk through our 4 different categories, which is musicality, lyricality, theologicality, and then we're going to take it through a culture test. And then we're going to go and rate it on a couple scales. But off the cuff, Tyler, what is your reaction to this song?
I think it's good. I think my one little nitpick would be like, there's a lot of cliche phrases in there that I think come up quite a bit, like you would hear in Christian lingo. However, I also do feel like it is a pretty big, good stadium rock Christian song that I'm really surprised that I have not heard it before, because it feels like, oh, this would be circulating at the time, which was 2014.
So I did a little research on this song just to understand it. It was also suggested by one of our commenters and one of our viewers on Instagram. So thank you for commenting that you wanted us to do this song. It was ICUs, or maybe it's ICU. I don't know. I'm not totally sure, but I just hope that it's more like icy, like cold use, as opposed to you're in the intensive care unit. This song doesn't make me feel like I need to be in the intensive care unit. So that's a positive for me. It's a song that was where a bunch of Filipino worship leaders came together and were like, hey, like we want to make something that's like that's not Hillsong or Bethel. We want to do it in reaction and for us and for Filipinos. I do wonder, right? We're talking about stuff that's cliche or things that you feel like are really rote within the American context. And I'm not as aware of Filipino church culture. So maybe for them, this is not that case. Now, this is also like 10 years old now. So maybe it was not rote then, and it's rote. Maybe it was really cliche then, and it's still cliche now. But I do think about also like the global movement of the church and what we have here in America versus what we have out the rest of the world out there. And there's very different needs and different things that are in place.
Yeah, I think just because it's not something that we immediately understand or something that we immediately jive with doesn't mean it's necessarily bad. It just means our perspective may be flawed.
I do have questions on the lyricality piece of like, is this just a bunch of man, this is making me old now too. But like, you know, when they had Mad Libs and you just got to put random stuff in there. But effectively, if you just like put like a grab bag of Christian phrases and you just kind of like threw it on the ground and you picked up a random pieces and you put it all together, I feel like this is sort of that song for us in this context. It's very common phrases. That to me loses some points. Like it's not like it's wrong, right? And actually on the musicality scales we kind of mentioned, there's a lot of instruments. They have some syncopation. They had some like weird tambourine hits in there that I was like, no regular American worship leader could hit that tambourine accurately. Like they did a really high grade professional job. From a theological standpoint, like what do you think? Do you think this is like robust?
I found myself like losing track of what they were actually saying in it because I was like, oh, that's kind of like a cliche phrase. And then I would be like thrown off for a little bit. And so I'd probably need to listen to it again. The benefit of singing it in a worship service is that you have the lyrics literally in front of you and you're reading them and singing them as you go. So maybe there's a little bit more theological depth. But I do feel like just as I was participating in it, I didn't really think about God that much. I thought way more about the music, which isn't to say that there isn't theological depth there. It perhaps doesn't fire on all cylinders. It gets some things really good, and then other things it's like, this is kind of pulling away from the purpose.
Right. Since it's been around 10 years since this song was released in the first place, do we think that this song is now relevant in our context? And and let's answer the question at the end that we always ask, is do you want this song in your church? I would say the answer is probably no. Because it is, I think the cliches and stuff that it brings to the table that have become cliche now in our context do not help people connect with God unless there's a lot of lifting being done. I think there's ways to use it, right? It talks about like, hey, I was in a really dark place and God lifted me up with his radical love. That's great, right? Mm-hmm. You can use that. You can facilitate that. I just wouldn't be my first choice. But I do want to emphasize, right? This is our context. So I wonder if there are contexts where this is super useful for other people and they like it. It's also, I wonder how much of this is because of like English is like the only language we speak, while like in the context of the Philippines, there's multiple languages spoken, things like that, and much more commonplace in nature.
Okay, so as we answer that question, I'm going to walk back something I just said. So I think this actually does have a place in my church because I think this is a great response song. As I'm looking at this, I keep hearing this, take my life, Lord, it is yours. It is yours. It is yours. And I think if we think about a church service, there's always something in a service that you can respond to, whether that's communion, whether that's the message, whether that's even just the end of a worship set. There's a chance for you to respond in saying, I'm giving something to you, God. And I think this actually could really work well as something like that, of saying, I am giving my life to you. I'm giving the life to you that you have won, Jesus. And so I think it could have a place in my church.
Okay, great. I'm glad that you want it in your church. Let's go for the culture test and go through the last sections really quick. So the culture test is, can this song be used unironically in a non-Christian movie?
No,
I don't think so. I think we can only use it ironically. Like it makes me think of like, do you ever watch Beef? Like it's a like Asian American.
The one
show.
with the guy who played on Walking Dead.
With Glenn from Walking Dead. That show. Yeah, like they could maybe use this in that one, but that's ironic, and we don't want to do that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Is this song theological milk or meat?
Milkiest of milk.
The milkiest of milk. Yeah, like Milkiss from abroad. Like those yogurt little milk things in there. I'm thinking about those too. But yes, milk.
Man,
okay.
I'm just realizing so much of my candy and culinary choices are very American.
Yeah, this is the wax of a Hershey bar in terms of chocolate.
That's not a great image to think about.
Well, yeah, I mean, like American chocolate is like 40% wax. Anyway,
What?
have you looked at that? It's like so much wax in chocolate. Like when you go to non-American chocolate, like Canadian chocolate, it is like 90% chocolate, and like American chocolate is like 40% wax.
You have just altered my world irrevocably.
I've just shattered your entire universe right there.
Yeah, I'll need some wax to put it back together.
Yeah. Hey, wax on, wax off. We took the wax on part a little too literally in America. All right, so Berean rating. What on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give this song?
Personally, I like a lot of things about it. I was a little distracted, so I'd probably say like a 7.5.
Yeah, I mean, for our context, I would give it like a 5, right? But in the context of potentially the right situation and or a different culture, I would say it's up to them on what you would rate it. Let's see if we have a Berean rating for this from the actual Berean rating site.
Let's see. Victory Worship is on the Berean test.
But Radical Love is not.
But Radical Love is not.
I have a sneaking suspicion he would give this like a 7.
Let's just see if he gives another one of their songs anything. We'll just see. Nothing can separate me. Let's see what his rating is on that. Just for some kicks and giggles.
Okay, some kicks.
10 out of 10.
Oh, 10 out of 10. Okay, well, maybe lately he's been disappointing me with his ratings, so maybe he would give it a 10.
But Kyle, what about worship music doesn't disappoint you nowadays?
Yeah, it's true. It's very little. All right. Do you want this in your church? You can follow us for more content like this. Thanks so much for listening to our podcast. If you're interested in more content like this, subscribe and follow to this podcast and follow us on Instagram at IndigitusUS. And send us a DM if you like the pod, have a song suggestion, or give us a like. We'll see you next time.